Okay, Charlie, welcome and thanks a lot for doing this. So could you just tell everybody, who you are, what you do, a little bit about your background?
Oh, sure. So I am Charlie O'Connor. I am a Kiwi who sounds like a Pom, who's now an Australian. I'm an ex-infantry soldier. I'm now a leadership consultant. I run my own business. I've lived in Australia for nearly 30 years now, 26, I think. And I spend a lot of time in front of a computer and a lot of time on aeroplanes, I guess. Wow. And I've done a lot of, done lots of different things. So I'm an offshore sailor. I spent a decade probably doing a lot of quite big adventure races. These days I ride a mountain bike and run and ski when I get the chance.
Excellent. I never knew you were a Kiwi.
Oh, well, no, well, you wouldn't unless I told you, given my accent.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. So board or ski?
Ski.
Ski. Excellent. How long have you been skiing for?
What are we now? 35 years probably, but I started as an adult. So I started when I learned to ski in the army. And when I say learned, I went skiing with people and we started at the tops of things and got down them. And so I spent a lot of time doing that. So I couldn't really ski. And then when the kids were, when the kids were, I don't know, 5 or 6, we started skiing every year. And then we all had lessons. And so really, I actually had to go backwards to go forwards.
Yeah, that's
never really learned.
Yeah. My old man had the same experience. He learned to ski in the army, and then he went into the army outward bound.
Yep.
So they then paid him a little bit more attention to his skiing, but not that much. It was a case kind of learn as you go along and sink or swim.
Yeah.
So, so when was the last time that you skied?
Japan would have been in January last year, January 2020.
Oh, fantastic! You managed to get one in before
everything
shut down.
Just yeah.
Right.
So we're there for I think 2. So we've been trying to ski. We've been sometimes lucky enough to ski twice a year, but we try to ski for 2 weeks. And we've been sort of been a bit restricted to school holidays, but
yeah,
we've been lucky enough to ski for a couple of weeks every year for a while now.
Yeah. And are you skiing this season?
We're going to see how we go. So partly there'll be some work commitments there, but our intention is to see what the season is like, and then pick a 3 or 4 day slot and go down midweek. Yeah, and try and go, okay, it's looking good right now, let's go.
Yeah.
And maybe we get to do that twice. We'll see. I don't know. We'll keep our fingers crossed. But the Australian season has been starting later and finishing later. So they've had some of their best snow towards the end of August and in early September for the last couple of years. So we'll see.
So Charlie, tell me, what preparation do you do going into the ski season?
Well, I kind of ride and I run all the time, and I go to Joe's obviously, and so the riding and the running are kind of more aerobic fitness, but I need that strength work and that strength and mobility work that we do. So the strength and conditioning that I do with you guys is fantastic, and so that really it does a few things for me. A, it just helps me ski better. B, it's sort of protecting me from injuries because I'm A, more mobile, and B, I've got I'm stronger on the snow, so I'm less likely to have a debilitating kind of injury. And I've got two, I've got a 19-year-old and a 20-year-old, and I long ago gave up really trying to keep up with them, but the strength keeps me in the game, so we can still ski together. I mean, they're faster and better than me for years, but at least we can still kind of ski together for most of the time. And we
don't embarrass yourself.
I don't embarrass myself.
Yeah.
And we're not really, we spend more of our time off piste these days. Still downhill, but and in the trees in places like Japan, and then there's a lot of valley skiing in France, and so that stuff's less. That's less about pure speed and more about kind of being able to follow a line and stay stronger for longer.
Yeah.
There's also a thing is I learned years and years ago that if you're not falling over, you're not trying hard enough, and so if you need that strength and that mobility to be able to dig your skis out and get back on the thing and get going again. If you fall over and you don't, all you've got is aerobic fitness, you'll get very, very tired, and that's when you start to get injured.
It's interesting that you said that. So those exact words were said to me by my dad's mate, Arne Ness, who unfortunately is now dead. We were skiing with him when I was about, I don't know, 7 years old in Verbier. And I came back out of ski school and was all really, really pleased with myself and going, oh, I didn't fall over once. I didn't fall over. And Arne crushed me. He just looked at me and he said very seriously, going, you just weren't trying hard enough.
Yeah.
And then that was, I remember that to this day.
Yeah. And so I think it's good. The other thing about it is if you're so desperate to try and, I know people who've been injured because rather than just falling over and then picking themselves up, they've been trying really, really hard to stay upright rather than accepting the inevitable. And then they've twisted knees and ankles and that kind of stuff. So, people, when you're skiing's like mountain biking, really, there's a lot of confidence in it. And if you are worried about falling, then or worried about stuff, that's when you are likely to get injured. And so obviously the strength and conditioning work and mobility is key to to being more confident.
Yeah, I agree totally, and that's one of the things why a big part of our program is the whole strengthening through length and being strong in those end ranges, because it's when you take a tumble and things get thrown out in different ways, the stronger the muscle structure and ligaments and connective tissue through that. Look, we're not going to guarantee that something's not going to go ping, but if you are in a stronger and conditioned state, you are a lot less likely to do yourself serious damage than if you are deconditioned.
Yeah, I think so. And that becomes, exponentially more important, the older you get. Obviously, I'm in my mid-50s. Yeah. One of the reasons that we could get away with it when we were in our mid-20s is because we were naturally stronger and more elastic, right? So, for guys, people my age, it's so incredibly important to do that stuff. And one of the reasons I started, coming to work with you guys was, not just for skiing, but that strength and conditioning for things like running and riding as well.
Yeah. So tell me then, let's have a look at that, just in your results in general then. Mm-hmm. So what are the top three things, the top three results that you've got out of our program?
So possibly not in any particular order, but the first thing is I'm pain-free. So I was carrying a number of joint injuries, so in particular knee and wrist, from some mountain biking injuries. And so as a result of the work that we're doing, I'm pain-free. So that's the first thing. I haven't really put this to the test from a skiing perspective yet, but certainly, from a running and riding perspective, the strength work definitely has improved my performance. So I'm a better climber on a mountain bike these days. And I'm more mobile on the bike. So that helps me with my downhill riding. And the mobility work really helps. And so I think it's not just the mobility work in the sessions, but the kind of like you and I have discussed, the mobility work that you need to do kind of, for 2 minutes an hour, 3 or 4 times a day, when we're all spending all this time on Zoom. So I think it's partly the work in the sessions, but it's also the kind of knowledge of what it's supposed to look like, and then the ability to be able to do that, all the time. So that's really helped me.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, tell me what are a couple of particular things that you actually just enjoy about the program and the community in general?
So I think there's,
apart from ribbing Terry.
Well, see, I love the vibe of it. I like that teamwork. I mean, I'm an ex-infantry soldier. I spent a lot of time in, big kind of barns of places doing burpees and chin ups and running and egging each other on and those kinds of things. So I really like the vibe, the vibe of it. That just really works for me. I really love it. And I like the fact that there's you tend to gravitate to a particular session. So you have the crew of people that you gravitate to that. So, there's that. I love that. I like the variety of it. And so I like the fact that we do these regular blocks, obviously, as you know, these regular blocks. So you get used to the exercises and what's coming up, but they're a 3-month block. And so, they also change on a regular basis. And so there's that good combination of knowing what you're doing and then having it refreshed, on a regular basis.
Yeah.
But also your instructors are just awesome. They're very knowledgeable, they're good fun, they make a real contribution to the thing. And I think they hit an exact balance between being kind of friendly and approachable and skillful and still moving us through what are often quite big blocks of work to get through in a session.
Yeah. Okay. So just one last question for you. So I want you to picture this. You're having dinner with a really, really good mate, and they're going down to the snow this season, and they they've been living the COVID lifestyle for the last year. They've been putting on their COVID kilos, and they are concerned about their fitness for the season. They've dropped 20k on 1 week in Thredbo, including accommodation and passes, and they want to get the most out of it. They're sitting on the fence about us. What would you say to them?
Right, you can go to Joe's and have a good time and have a brilliant skiing holiday, or you could spend $25,000 more having your knees reconstructed.
Perfect. Awesome. Is there anything else you want to add?
No, not really. I mean, I'm one of your biggest fans. I even on occasions when I do an early morning class, as you know, and it's it's my routine now. It's more usual for me to get up and ride to the gym than not. So everything about the base camp works for me.
Fantastic. Awesome. Charlie, thank you very much, mate. Have a fantastic weekend, and I will see you next week, bright and early.
Yeah. Thanks, Joe. See ya.
Cheers, mate.